You're only 17 and you've already made $10,000 in a month from copywriting. How did you overcome that barrier? You know, people talk to you and you're this young guy and you don't have that much experience. How did you get past that?
I would say the main thing that will help you, like if you're a young guy starting in the industry, is just
you don't come across as ego-driven young guy, because that's like a big issue I think for most people. Is the young people try solve the gap in their age by acting like this 30-year-old killer. What would you say you did to stand out and use the fact that you're Zeus? Like, how did you show that in a way that made you stand out from other people?
the biggest thing that I did was,
Are you concerned about where the industry is going because of AI and how that could potentially affect your career?
there's an element of ignorance that's with beginner copywriters, is that they think like copywriting is just writing, and they just underestimate how much you need to know about the market to write good copy. What is marketing? It's just communicating with the market in a way that no one really communicates. The first thing in marketing is the market. You have to know the market better than anyone else.
All right. So today we're here with Zeus. Zeus, thanks so much for joining me. I'm really inspired by your journey. You've done a lot of amazing stuff at such a young age. You're only 17 and you've already made $10,000 in a month from copywriting, and you work so hard. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me. I'm really looking forward to our conversation together.
Thanks for having me.
So what's the secret? How does someone do that at your age? I mean, tell us a little bit about your journey, your story, how you went from, how you even got into copywriting.
Yeah, so I started copywriting 2 years ago and I was like 15. And I was just like a normal school kid trying to make money online. And I saw this beautiful copywriting. That was just my first business model. I didn't business hop or anything, but yeah, I just kind of like, I like writing and like copy. Plus at that time, like Andrew Tate and a lot of his copycats were just like on top of the world. They're like pumping out so much content and hyping up this business model that I just got hyped up and jumped into it. And yeah, that's when like I found like my first mentor. And then of course, like later that year, he introduced me to you. And that's when like I kind of like went all in and started making not bad, but like good money for where I live, right? And like a year later, like I made like 10K. So yeah, that's just been my journey. And like the number one thing is like, like the biggest thing is just the time that I've spent in the industry. Like it's not that much, but of course, like I didn't do it in 3 months or 6 months or 1 year, like most people advertise that you would, do it in. So yeah.
So what are some of the challenges that you had that are unique to your situation that other copywriters might not have? And how did you overcome them?
There were so many, there were so many challenges, and some of them were like just, kind of like they look like unfixable, but just spending more time to kind of fix them. Like the first thing is the accent. That anyone watching this, if they're from Southeast Asia, they're from somewhere where people have an accent. The accent is the first thing that someone would like recognize. So like I had a hard Indian accent. I had to fix that. I spent about 7-8 months fixing that. So, that's just number one. Then I didn't have any life or business experience. So like just dealing with people, on sales call or just like working with clients, that's another thing. And then also like no like marketing experience or anything. So those were the main three disadvantages, and a couple other, that's mainly it.
So when you said you worked on your accent for 7 to 8 months, like what did that involve? Like, do you sit and say things and say them in as much as an American way as possible, or like what's that like?
Yeah, I did exactly that. Sometimes in front of the mirror, that's like very artistic. But yeah, you just have to do that if you want to fix your accent, right? And the main thing is just for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, you just have to look like an idiot, who's trying to like speak in a different accent, but like you have to look like a fake, who's trying to fake it. And you just have to go through that and just like keep practicing. And like keep also like hearing the accent that you're trying to master, keep consuming content in the accent that you're trying to speak in. And that like if you're willing to look like an idiot for long enough and speak like that, like you start speaking like that, and yeah, that's just the biggest thing when it comes to changing your accent.
That's very interesting because, I haven't reached the level of fluency you have in English in a foreign language, for example. I know in India, most people do also speak English and they're very familiar with English. They just have their own sort of, maybe you could say dialect or accent of English, right? So it's not like it's completely foreign to you, but learning a foreign language isn't very easy, especially the accent, because you have to keep pronouncing stuff in a way that your tongue's not used to, and you've done it your whole life. And it is interesting in this industry, because even if you, speak English as well as a native, like many people in India, they speak English very, very, very well, better than people in the UK and America. They just have a very strong accent. And sometimes that can push clients away, right? And I've had this challenge with quite a few clients, that copywriters who live in India and they have a stronger accent, and they just work on that accent to refine it and make it, make it so that business owners feel like they're part of the same world. That's really what it is. Because I'm in South Africa, so it's not like I live in America. Most of the copywriters that and that are like in the dojo, like they're all from all over the world. So it's not like you have to live in America or be American. It's just that when you speak English, they have to feel like you're part of that same ecosystem. They have to feel comfortable that, like, okay, this guy gets it. He's not somebody from the outside trying to get inside, So that accent does actually make a big difference. And there's another guy I think in the dojo we'll interview on this channel soon. His accent is like flawless American accent, even though he doesn't live in America. He lives in like a small village in India. I thought he's like I thought he was an actor. Honestly, when I first met him, he had such a polished accent. I was very impressed. So, yeah, that's an interesting challenge, for sure.
Yeah.
What other things did you do to overcome these challenges, like age? Yeah, let's talk about that. Like, how did you overcome that barrier? People talk to you, and you're this young guy, and you don't have that much experience. How did you get past that?
Yeah, the thing with ages is like, I would say the main thing that will help you, like if you're a young guy starting in the industry, is just spending more time in the industry, because as you spend more time and as you collect more results, people start to take you seriously, even if you are not that, that old. But if you're starting out, that's going to be very hard. And it just was for me. It's hard to get opportunities. It's hard to get your foot in the room. I mean, people just don't kind of take you seriously. So yeah, that's the first thing. Like, just spend more time in the industry, like active time in the industry, collect results, work with clients, without focusing on money for the first few months, first few years, right? And once you have that down, that will fix your age problem to a large extent. But even after that, what you want to do is not tell people your age unless you're asked about it, because I'm working with clients. In fact, yeah, all of my clients, none of them have ever asked about my age, my current clients. Okay. And if they ask me how old I am, I'll tell them I'm 17 years old, right? And I don't know, I don't think they'll have any problem, but I never try to kind of hide it, right? And other thing, that's like kind of third thing with age is like, you just have to look older, just speak in a bit mature way and just act a bit matured, and also just look a bit mature, grow facial hair or do whatever again, just like grow facial hair, and just
grow a beard. That's a secret.
Yeah, that's
the
the secret,
secret's
bro.
a beard, bro. Amazing.
I think it is, because like earlier this year I had no beard, and like I was talking to someone like from Hong Kong, and he told me that why don't you grow a beard? I grew a beard, and then like I closed like 2 vines. So yeah, a beard might be the secret.
All right. Well, now everybody's gonna have a beard, so you revealed our secret. Good. Well, I actually experienced something similar when I got started. Because when I was starting out in 2017, 2018, I was now I'm not as young as you, but I was very young, and I looked quite young. I was 20. How old was I? Yeah, I was like 20, around 20. 19, 20, 21, around there, depending on the year. Those 3 years, 2017, 2018, 2019, they were all kind of like a big blur, because it was just the same, me trying to break into the industry, break in. And something I heard from one of my previous mentors was a really, really good line. He said, you're always too young, and then suddenly you're too old. So everybody's always like, oh yeah, you're too young, you don't have enough experience, And then suddenly there's this shift to now like, oh, you're too old, you have too much experience, you're overqualified, blah, blah, blah. So there's never this point where there's this perfect time, and I love that, because when he said that to me, I was like, yeah, damn, it's a good point, because, I don't want to just wait until I'm like, let's say 30 years old to then have people say that. But there are challenges when people think you're younger. I mean, one of the things that I struggled with was having people appreciate my perspective, because, you know, as a young guy, people might not take it as seriously. That might also be your own stuff though in your head. You might also think this is like, I also thought that people wouldn't take my opinion as seriously because I'm younger. And then because I didn't think people would take my opinion seriously, I obviously didn't do a good job at like expressing my opinion. And then that also affected them not taking my opinion, you know? So that's something as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. And like other things like, you know, maybe the psychology of like, should we give this guy lots of responsibilities? He's very young. Let's give him a little bit of work first and build up. These were some of the challenges I faced, you know, but you know, as I kept going, I just kept saying that what my mentor said to me is like, you know, you're always too young until you're too old. So you gotta get going. But I think the biggest thing, which I really commend you for, and I think you've done a really great job at this, is that you don't come across as this ego-driven young guy. Because that's like a big issue, I think, for most people, is the young people try solve the gap in their age by acting like this 30-year-old killer, you know, like it's like that whole group of guys that go into Hustlers University or like whatever it's called now, like the real world, right? They all follow Tate, which is, I mean, that's cool. Like that, if they want to follow Tate and learn from him, that's great. But they all act like him and they're all 17, 18, 19. And they're walking around like this and they've got the sunglasses on and they're like they look like gangsters. They like have profile photos that look like gangsters, you know, but they're like 17, you know, you can see that they still have a baby face and they're trying to be like this big, I don't know. I don't like resonate when I think a business owner looks at that. Maybe they chuckle, but they probably don't take it that seriously. It's kind of similar to something that happened in 2018 with one of Dan Locke's programs. So Dan Locke had a program, Zeus, called High Ticket Closer. Okay, and no, it was good content. You know, like I went through the program. I remember I actually went through it. It was good. Like he gave us lots of like mindset stuff. He gave us a lot of like perspective on how to make money. It was really good for psychology, you know, like mindset stuff. The tactics were also pretty useful, like some good sales principles. But everybody try to like have a photo where they all look like they're this big shot negotiator, you know, like they always have like sunglasses on their phone like this. They have their phone and then they're like this, you know, like this is their photos. And I had one too, and everybody has their photo like this, you know, like posing, like pulling this, you know, smoldering, and like, and the bio is like high ticket expert, you know, high ticket closer. And maybe 3 or 4 of them pulled it off because they're the right age, they're the right height, they just look the part. But everybody else just looks stupid, you know. Like I look pretty bad in that photo. And once I changed that photo, literally once I changed that photo, I started to actually build some connections on social media because I didn't look like I was trying to be someone I'm not. So anyway, long story short, I think that for young guys, if you're watching this and you're a young guy, whether you're from India, whether you're from the States, whether you're from, it doesn't really matter where you're from, there's this pressure on you to become, you know, somebody else to try and get into this industry. But I mean, Zeus right here, bro, you're like proof you don't have to be somebody else. You just have to be authentically yourself and make an effort to treat clients the right way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it reminds me of the thing, like people, like you said, they just try to be someone else. And I had this guy, you know, that I knew, he was from the States. And like we were just doing cold outreach and going for clients and stuff. And he wasn't getting any responses. And he asked me to look into his outreach. And we were all like the same age, around 16 at that time. And I saw his outreach and he was calling business owners G. I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, well, that's how old people act. And he was like from the, you know, the real world, like Andrew Tate, whatever. So yeah, I think that's just the problem, you know, just try to be someone they're not, as you said. I think what they need to be, like what people my age need to be is just be a bit better, you know, like just be better at whatever you do, you know, just get good at copy and, you know, just have better positioning, but like don't try to just come off as some adult who knows it all, because you are not, you know, and no matter how much you try, you won't become that. Okay. So just, you know, just be better and be yourself. That's what I would say. Yeah.
And so is there like, obviously, I mean, everybody has a best side, you know, you put your best foot forwards. So as much as being yourself is great advice, we also have to find the balance between like being yourself and then also showing people your best, right? So what would you say you did to stand out and use your, like, the fact that you're Zeus. Like, how did you show that in a way that made you stand out from other people?
So in outreach, I mean, the biggest thing that I did was use my results, whatever I had, uh, to just position myself better on, social media profiles and also when applying for applications and stuff. And when doing cold outreach or anything like that, just caring more about the business owner and their business and trying to just make an effort to just show I care, just when doing cold outreach or anything like that. But when it's actually time to just show your positioning, like what have you done, then of course like you have to just show your results and like what in industry, what you've done, right? So yeah, that's just what I did on those two fronts. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. So when you say that you put in time to show business owners that you care about their business, does that mean like you spend quite a lot of time studying each client or potential client before you sent them a message? Is that sort of what you mean by that?
Yeah, that's what I did when doing outreach, or even just if I'm hopping on an interview with the business owner, just doing that, right? Just studying kind of like the company culture that they have, and also like what they do, what they sell, and also like just caring enough, just caring more about like whatever like we are going to offer them. Like for example, if I'm selling them copywriting, maybe writing them some upfront copy, something for free, doing a free Loom audit, right? That's what was working, when I was doing it, and yeah, it just all boils down to just caring more and caring enough for the business owner. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really good insight. If anybody's watching this and really trying to get clients and you're young and you feel like you don't have a lot of experience, like really pay attention to that. That's solid advice, man. Giving them the priority, giving them that attention, really paying attention to their business. It's very difficult to do that if you're a very busy copywriter or a very successful copywriter. Like let's say I'm in my position now, right? Let's say I've got let's say I'm working with 5 clients or 4 clients. I don't really like working with more than 4. So I've got 4 clients I'm working with. Say I'm working 25 hours
Yeah.
a week, and I have other priorities, right? It's like, how much time do I really have to go and analyze potential client businesses and break down their funnels and stuff? You could still do it if you're really hungry, but you're probably not going to do that. Like most copywriters making over 10K a month will lean on their results, lean on their positioning, lean on their previous experience. In an application, they would say, I've generated this much, I've done this, I've done that. You can use that all, right? But in your case, you're going to be the one that stands out because you're the only one that bothered to actually care about their business to the point where I like that, what you're doing, right? Like, what they're doing, what they're up to. It's actually kind of similar to how I closed my first client. So, I paid attention to their business and I said stuff to them that was about their business, wasn't really about me. So I like that. Yeah, it's really, really good advice. Especially because you have so much more time, right? Because you don't have any clients. If you don't have
Hmm.
any clients and you're young, you're probably living at home still, you have the time to care about their business, even if it's free. But what is that like? Like what do you think it takes for somebody to break into this industry when they're not seeing results, not making money for months, sometimes even years? It took me 9 months of working for free before I closed my first client.
The same was true for me. It took me 5 months, I think. But like, uh, when you're just going through it all, not making any money, just trying. Yeah, I could say just keep grinding or anything like, but people who are in those situations, it just wouldn't resonate to them. So I think it all just boils down to just talking to someone who is where you want to be, and that's where kind of like mentorship comes into play. I know like most people just say this to sell you their mentorship, but that's just the truth. Like if you're not where you want to be and you have been putting in the effort for months and you just are not getting the results, you're doing something wrong, but you just don't know what you're doing wrong, right?
Right.
And unless you fix that, nothing happens, right? So you just have to, yeah, you just have to talk to someone who is where you want to be and get them to help you. I would say, yeah.
I mean, when I started, I did that. You know, I do know it's pretty self-serving for most coaches. I mean, yeah, sure. It's like, hey, you need to get a mentor, you need to get help, you need to get coaching. I happen to have a coaching program, and this is what we do. Like, yeah, of course, right? But there's a reason that that's true as well, right? It's not just because it's self-serving. It's like, do you really? Just depends if you value your time more than money. I think that that's really what
Yeah.
it comes down to. Is if you want to get where you want to be in life, and it takes you 5 years, if you're okay with that, then figure it out yourself, right? But if you want to get there in 2 years, because your timeline is more aggressive, you're not happy with the idea of working for 5 years until you break through, then double down on coaching. I mean, I've spent $100,000 on copy coaching at this point. I know you've invested a lot of money into copy coaching, and you're just going to keep doing it. So yeah, like literally every single interview that I've had on this channel is with, I can guarantee you every single person that we've so far interviewed has invested money in their career as a copywriter. Obviously the ones that work with me in the dojo for sure, right? Because they're in the dojo, but like even the guys outside of the dojo, all of them, they've all invested, and probably the ones that I've talked to outside of the dojo have probably even invested more, because a lot of them are further along on their journey, right? So yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good. Talking to the choir here, man, preaching to the choir. So like, yeah, you got to invest in yourself, Got to invest in yourself. So how do you do that then if you're young? Like, you don't have that much money yet, this is sort of the challenge. Is like, well, okay, I want to invest in myself, but I only have this little bit of savings, and it's all I've got, and that kind of stuff. I mean, I put on my credit card, but some people don't have credit at that age. So
Yeah, I could just talk for myself, actually, because well, I was in the same situation, in 2023, I started copy in January. In December, I met you, right? I wasn't doing very well before that, but it's just I used up the money that I had, and I just made you just let me in the dojo, right? And that's how things worked out for me. And for people like who want to get into a coaching program, or like just get help from someone, if you don't have any money, then I think like just just connecting with someone who's willing to help would be better. But at the end of the day, you have to get the money from somewhere. But it's not to just buy a 4,000, 5,000 coaching program. It's just starting from the little spots. And I'm not telling you to like buy a low ticket product, but it's just just doing what you can to get the advice that you want, because like you're not going to get it without paying for it. That was true in my case. Like I tried to get knowledge, get info without paying for it. It didn't really work out, right? I had to pay. But yeah, I think it just boils down to that. And apart from that, it's just trial and error. Like if you can't pay to get the insight that will help you move forward, then you just have to do trial and error to figure out what you're doing wrong, and then to just become better. I think that's all there is to it. What do you think?
yeah, I think that's basically the way I would do it if I didn't have money. I would just get some money and then start aggressively investing. Just aggressively invest. What do you need the money for? You're creating an income. You're creating an earning potential. Why do you need $3,000? What is there $3,000 going to do in your bank account? Just sits there. It's like, versus, doesn't mean you have to buy bad programs online, but like these days, there's a lot of options anyway, right? You don't even need to
Yeah.
invest thousands of dollars. I mean, for the last year, for example, people have been able to join, learn from me for like $60 a month. And at the time of publishing this, the price has gone up a little bit, but it's like, it's not that much. It's not that much. Whereas when I got started, people had to invest, like I had to invest $5,000 on credit. That was what I did. I was fortunate that I was living in Canada. So Canada obviously gives you a lot of credit. You have you have that opportunity. So I had credit, had a good credit card, and I bought programs, and I got to about $5,000 in debt, and I had no job because I quit my job. Fortunately, I was living at home with my parents, so I didn't have like rent or some crazy expenses. But I was like this close to maxing my credit card, and the interest payment was going to be like $300 or something that month, and I couldn't. So I just had to figure it out, and I figured it out. And some people will say like, oh, that's like, that's a lot of money. It's like, well, I don't know. Like, is your future not worth something to you? Like, how much would you put into your future? It's like $5,000 is not that much money. If you make 10 grand a month, it's half a month of income. It's not that much. You know that now because you've hit 10K.
Yeah, exactly. And like the month I hit 10K, I invested like close to that into, coaching. So like the
Oh,
good.
there you go. That's funny. So you just put all the money right back in. There you go. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
So what would you say is something that has helped you a lot become a better writer that you wish that you knew in the early days when you first got started?
Yeah. So there's mainly three things that helped me to become a better writer. So like the first thing is, if like for whatever market you're writing copy for, first of all, consume, right? Because your brain doesn't pull out ideas and like great ideas and writing patterns and all these things like from the void. Like whatever you consume, you'll create something close to that. Just consume good copy, right?
Yeah.
Find out like good winning sales letters, VSL, emails, whatever. Just read and consume a lot, right? And the next thing is like is having just having proven frameworks and just copy knowledge, marketing knowledge that like just learning from it, right? For example, when I joined Dojo, like I learned about that, right? So yeah, just using that and then practicing, right? And the third thing that I've been doing recently is, and I've like seen a lot of people, like my friends do it, is just making just using AI to get better, right? Not just using it to write copy. You can do it if you want, but like if you want to get better at copy and you're just starting out, then what you do is you just make a bot. So you pull out all the target market information that you have for your particular market that you're targeting, writing copy for. You just put all of it in Claude or like whatever like AI bot you're using, and then you ask it to behave like that, and you put your copy into that, and you just ask it to like give you critique or whatever it feels. And the insight that you get from that, that's very powerful, right? And that's what I've been doing. I used to do, when I was just starting out, just getting better. So yeah, those are mainly three things, right? Just read good copy, and like just consume knowledge, and then write, practice, and third, just get AI to help you. Yeah, and that's it.
How are you using AI besides, getting better at copy? Like, what kind of things are you able to do with AI that, help your clients and help you make more money and make more money for them too?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of things that the LLMs can do, especially for copy. So of course it can just make you faster, and you can just upload a lot of your writing into it and just help yourself basically just write better and write more in less time. So I've been doing that, creating my own kind of like copy bots that just write copy for me, and I just have to chief it. And once you get good at copy, you can do it. If you're not good at copy, if you're a beginner, do not try to do it, because when you're a beginner, you don't even know what good copy looks like, right? So like first get better, get good. Once you're at that level, then you can like focus on maximizing your output. So yeah, the first thing like is just like like deep response knowledge, like copy knowledge. And once you know like what good copy looks like, then you can use AI to just write better. And of course, I've been using AI to make target market bots as well. So they just act like our ideal customers, our ICPs, and they just act like them. And they literally just act like them. Like, and we just ask them questions, and we just put our the copy that we have into the bot, and it just tells like what it feels, and that gives good market data. And yeah, those are the two main things that I've been doing with AI. Apart from that, yeah, there's some things, but like these are the main two things that.
Are you concerned about where the industry is going because of AI and how that could potentially affect your career?
I mean, the short answer is no. The long answer is, um, the long answer is basically the reason why, because it's like what AI can help us do is just creating more creatives, which is, the copy and the image ads, whatever, right? But I don't think it is currently able to analyze a market and see and just tell you the messaging that would work for that market. And if we think about it, like as copywriters, what are we doing? We are not writing just some stuff. We are writing messaging that needs to be communicated to the market, right? To spark an emotion in them, right? So that they pull out their credit cards and buy, right?
Right.
So I don't think the messaging could be you can find the messaging with AI. You can definitely make it better, your message, but finding it with AI, I don't think it could happen right now. I'm using mainly to just make my messages and make my big ideas better, and just turn them into creatives, turn them into emails, turn them into video sales letter. But actually finding that idea is just that's just not something I can do right now. And even if it gets better, it's just, you get better. You get better as a copywriter. You learn strategy, you learn other stuff. And yeah, you just get better.
I've started to see AI as more of a content engine rather than a copy writer or copy engine, because a lot of copy these days is actually just content writing. It's not really copywriting. You look at
Yeah.
social posts, emails, YouTube scripts, Instagram posts. I mean, that's content marketing. It's not really copywriting. What is copywriting? Copywriting is salesmanship in print. That's how some people would define it. So it's about getting people to buy stuff. A lot of these posts that we write on social media don't have any sort of buying power to them. They're about getting engagement. They're about, broadening your reach. They're about getting leads interested, but they're not buying mechanisms. So knowing that, I think many copywriters, they stay in that realm of content writing. And because it feels kind of like copywriting, they feel like they're writing copy, but they're not really writing copy.
Yeah.
I can't really get AI to help me much with copywriting. I can get AI to help me generate content. I mean, I can get AI to flesh out, a conversion sales page or VSL or something. It can help me with it, but I'm the one that generates the idea, the angle, the marketing message, the beliefs that need to be shifted, the close. Like, I'm still structuring all of that personally, as a copywriter who's been doing this for 8 years. I just can't really get AI to do it to the level where I could really delegate that. And I think that, unless you have an AI that's able to reason and not just process language and not just generate words, it's going to be very difficult for AI to actually become a copywriter instead of just a content engine and word generator. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I also think there's an element of ignorance that's with beginner copywriters, is that they think like copywriting is just writing, and they just underestimate how much you need to know about the market to write good copy. Because, well, what is marketing? It's just communicating with the market in a way that no one really communicates it with, Because, well, the first thing in marketing is the market. You have to know the market better than
That's
anyone
good.
else, You
That's
don't need
good.
to
Yeah.
write stuff. You need to know the market, right? So like, if you know the market, like better than everyone, like you'll be able to just pump out stuff better, faster, and just more effective than anyone, right? Then like, it doesn't matter if anyone is using AI. They haven't spent 4 years in the market like you, right? So yeah, that just make it better. And that's why you see a lot of people, you think a lot of, like, I would say, people who have a lot of experience in the game, and when they say that, oh yeah, I used AI to do it, like to do something like most people take like months to do, or like, a lot of time to do. But like, yeah, but you also spent like 10 years in the market, the market inside out. Like, how to, like, use all that knowledge and use AI to, like, just 10x your productivity. Of course, you're going to 10x your output, but I don't have those insights. I don't know the market. So how am I going to write good copy with AI? I'm just going to write fast copy. That's not good copy, right? So I think, yeah, it's just knowing the market.
This is the first time ever that I see the word market, like the word market, in the word marketing. It's the first time. Like, you
Wow.
just made me realize that the word marketing literally has the word market in it. And yet people completely forget the fact that they're talking to a market. They're just like, oh, it's words. I'm talking about a product. I'm talking about a brand. I'm selling a
Yeah,
product. It's like, no, you're not. You're talking to a marketplace that has problems and they need a solution. Like, that's so different to just writing words with AI. So thanks for sharing that.
yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, and I think like a lot of people just don't realize that. Even people who have as much experience as me, they kind of see copywriting and marketing as two different things, but it's just not. It's just a subskill of marketing, right? So to do effective copywriting or just messaging marketing, you just have to just get clear on the marketing fundamentals, right? And all of it starts with knowing marketing. I mean, knowing the market, right? If you know the market, even if you're not that good in marketing, you'll be better. You better market. You crowd better messages to the market, as compared to people who have a lot of experience, but they just don't know the market, right? Yeah, that's why I think that.
Well, it goes back to what you were saying earlier about when you apply to gigs, right? Because when you go and apply for a gig, or an application or job, you show them that you know their business and by extension their
Yeah,
marketplace. You've done a bit of research, whereas other people that are applying for the same opportunity, they're just talking about their experience. They're not actually showing that they know that marketplace. It's good. This is a very good way to differentiate yourself when you're getting started. I think this is going to be a very,
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are going to find this very valuable. I think this is good
I
stuff
hope
here.
so.
Yeah, I do think so. So, okay, so let's talk about this, right? So people say this, like what we've just been saying. They say, oh, copywriting is so much more than just words. And for somebody that doesn't really know that, like doesn't internally understand that yet, they still like think copywriting is words, and we're just saying that because
Mhm.
we're saying, oh, it's so much bigger than words. It's so much more than that. Like, let's actually break that down. Why is it not just words? Why is copywriting so much more than words? And like, I know you mentioned the market, but let's go even deeper into that. Like, why is it not just words?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's because like it's just you have to see copywriting. Like, what is copywriting? Like, of course, you're writing words, but I think that's just 50% of it. And I think words are just the tools that you use to do stuff. And they're just creative elements, just like in a good ad. They're like different creative elements, like like well shot cinematic. They don't use any
Mm-hmm.
words in like a well shot cinematic. You'll see, but they still have creative elements, right? For example, like how they basically make the video, without using any words or something. Like you just see like just like those creative elements. Words are just the tools that you use to communicate your message. Copy and writing are two different things as I see it. Writing is just bringing your ideas and bringing your message on paper, or turning it um, into a conversion format, into a conversion asset, right? Like a VSL, like an email or anything, right? But if you just look at the copy, that's just a message that the market resonates with the most, right? And I think, yeah, that's just copy in my opinion, right? And of course, it has different elements to it. Like there are different things, like you do like there are different tricks in copy. You do urgency, you do this, like you do that. But the core thing is with copy is the message, right? And if you just get the messaging right, like you get a lot of things right, right? Yeah, that's just the way I look at it.
I think another really good way to look at it, to add on to what you're saying, is let's say that you've got a sequence of emails that you've written for a client. And of those, let's say 10 emails, 7 of them do very, very well and 3 don't do well. It's still the same writing the whole way through. It's still the
Yeah,
same writer. You're still saying the same sort of words. You're using the same sort of words, but some of those emails do well and some of them don't do well. So when we investigate those 3 emails and we look at like what makes those 3 emails, different or like not perform well, we find that it's like the idea behind the words, or the delivery of the pitch, or it wasn't really that interesting. The idea wasn't as compelling as the other emails. Even though it's still words, even though maybe we're even using the same tactics. So this is something that you can't really get, I don't think, AI to fix, because if you have like, let's say 3 emails that don't work in a sequence, you say, hey AI, these 3 emails don't work, make them better. Oh yeah, absolutely, I can do that for you. And then it like gives you like maybe almost something very similar. It's still just words. It's like maybe it's not the words
yeah,
that's not working. And it's the same thing I see with a VSL, for example. You have a VSL that's not converting. Do you have to rewrite an entire brand new VSL, or is it you fix that one section? And if you ask AI to fix copy that's not working, usually it just rewrites the same words a little bit more, like a bit nicer, or like change the angle a little bit, but it's not really like a significant change in any real way. It's just the words that's changing, unless you prompt it correctly. But if you prompt it correctly, you could argue that then you're writing copy. You're the one that's doing it. You're just telling AI what you would have done yourself.
that's true.
So how are you? Yeah. So like, what's your next plan now? Now that you've hit 10K, you've worked with some good clients. Like, how are you going to continue to, increase your income and deliver better results? And like, what kind of skills are you looking at learning? And just like, what's your plan going forwards?
I'm just gonna follow the secret roadmap that you gave me, like the secret, and then like the scale.
You're going to follow the secrets and then scale.
Yeah, the secrets to scale.
Secrets to scale. Yeah.
Yeah.
Link in the description, right? There's like a 997 Stripe link. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, but seriously, it's just what I look forward to is leveling up my skills, because with copywriting, is good, but like there's also a lot of interesting things that you can learn and be able to do outside of it. That could impact the business bottom line. For
Mm.
example, a lot of stuff, strategy and other stuff. I won't go into that here. But yeah, that's just my next step, which is to just just level up. And yeah, I think copywriting is just a good launch pad right now to get your income going,
Hmm.
to make 10K a month, 15K a month, 20K a month, how much however you want to make. And yeah, after that, it's just getting better.
Sounds good, man. What would you say is what would you tell copywriters that are getting started today? Like, let's say they're starting now. What would you give them as like some core advice that they should keep close to them, keep close to their heart as they take action?
With client getting or just writing?
Yeah, just generally, what do you feel like is the most important thing for them? But yeah, client getting in and also writing copy.
Well, first thing is just don't take rejection too seriously. Like I know people who've been outreaching to and they've gotten responses telling them to off themselves.
Mm.
So yeah, if that happens, don't take it too seriously. It's just words on the screen and stuff. So yeah, you're gonna face a lot of reaction if you're starting out as a beginner copywriter. That's also something to keep in mind. So yeah, just don't take reaction that much seriously. And second is just get better at direct response fundamentals. If that's the copy, that's the market, that's the type of businesses that you're going to serve,
Right.
rather than just writing, get better at the fundamentals of direct response, right? And then of course practice your skill, invest and learn better, and yeah, just don't give up. That's pretty much it.
And if they don't come from a country that speaks English, do you think it's necessary? Like, I know some people watching this are going to say, oh, I don't really need to work on my accent, or I don't really need to work on my pronunciation that much, do I? Do I really have to make an effort to come across international? Can't I just be myself?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, and it's hard to say this while being politically correct, but if you have a hard accent, and people just see that you're coming from a country that doesn't need a lot of money to survive in, then they'll just try to lowball you. And if you're okay with that, that's cool. But if you want to ask for 5K for a project, you have to look like you're asking for 5K for a project, right? So you have to
Mm.
work on your accent a bit. And it's not just that Indians work on their accent. I know a lot of European people, like people from, France, people from Lithuania, they work on their accent too. And so this is not like, something shameful to do. Oh yeah, I've got a bad accent. You don't have a bad accent. It's just like the business
Hmm.
model that you're pursuing and that you're pursuing, it will just reward you to just change your accent a bit. And it's not like it's for always. I can return back to my original accent sometimes when I want to. you know so yeah, I think just working on your accent is good, and also like just your presentation and how you present yourself, and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is another thing as well, right? Is like with accents and pronunciation, like I was getting to earlier when I was learning foreign languages. I've realized I can't change certain aspects of my accent unless I spend hundreds of hours, maybe even thousands of hours working, right? It takes a lot of work to change the way you use your mouth. I mean, you've been using it for 20, 30 years, right? So it's like, it's a lot of work to undo or redo or change that, right? But the nice thing is you don't have to actually change everything about your accent. You just have to pronounce things
Yeah.
clearly. That's usually the only thing that matters. Like for me, I don't have an American accent. I don't have a British accent. I'm South African. So my pronunciation, on the other hand, is a very clean pronunciation. So people can hear that I'm using English like an English speaker. I mean, I am a native speaker, but my accent is not American, and it doesn't matter. Like people like my accent. People have said, "Oh yeah, I really like your accent." And there's some copywriters we work with right in the dojo that don't have a native accent, they don't have an English accent. They have an accent from Europe, like you mentioned, or they have an accent from Southeast Asia or East Asia,
Yeah.
but their pronunciation's clean. So what it sounds like is it sounds like a guy that lives in Dubai or a girl that lives in Dubai or lives in Miami or lives somewhere in America, and they're from a different country, but they speak English and they're integrated into English society and they know English and they know this world. And so even if their accent's slightly different, it actually just adds color, it adds flavor. We were talking to somebody on this channel last year. His name's Gigi, Pierluigi. He's Italian. He pronounces very clearly. Like people can understand him speaking English, but it's very obvious that he's Italian. If you hear him speaking, he sounds Italian, and his clients actually like it. It actually adds flavor. So just to add it as well, a lot of people think they have to get rid of it. It's like, you don't have to get rid of an accent. You just have to change the parts of the accent that involve pronunciation so that people don't have to struggle to understand you. Because if they can't understand you on the call, they're going to start doubting whether or not anyone's going to understand your copy. That's just the psychology of it as well, So
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, because I've had instances of that as well. I've had cases like in the past when I had like my very strong accent and just good presentation skills. People kind of like used to do that.
yeah. I mean, this is just the way it is. I mean, it's business owners want to have a team of people that understand what they're doing, understand their industry, and understand what they're working on. It's nothing personal. It's just that's what they want. And if you don't come across that way, if you come across like you're from a different world and you're from a different industry and you're from a different market and you don't understand their world, they're going to struggle. Doesn't matter where you come from. Even if you're even if you're American, like even if you're from America, like this is some of the weirdest parts of what I've seen. Like some of the Americans that I've coached before, they just seem like they're so out of it. They're so out of context with our industry. They'll come in, like we we're talking about, they'll have like the Andrew Tate sort of photos and they're like 17 years old and they're just like so out of touch with what business owners want and the way they come across. It's like, bro, this is not how you should present yourself to a business owner. Do you have any sales call tips or tricks that you've used that have helped you close clients? Because obviously when you're younger, it's like quite intimidating maybe to talk to a 40-year-old that makes $10 million a year and close them on premium pricing. Like that's not easy. How did you do that?
So with sales calls, there are a couple things to keep in mind. The first thing is, if you're desperate and people sense it even a little bit, they'll just own you on the call. So just don't be desperate. Even if you are, just don't look desperate. And you do it by having an outreach system or an application system or whatever, just having something that works and is able to put different multiple opportunities on the plate for you, right? When you have that, you just become like not desperate instantly. So the first thing is that, right? Don't be desperate, don't be needy. And the second thing is present yourself well, invest in your setup a bit. Even if you don't have any money, then okay, just try to look a bit better, right?
What does that mean though? Like setup?
Yeah, the setup basically refers to, your camera, your mic that you're using. I'm using the same mic that you have right now. I'm using a 4K webcam. I've like kind of positioned my setup a bit better by having this. There's a painting, and like just a little fact, like just this painting alone, this is like a good conversation starter because like whenever someone hops on a call with me, they see a painting and they're like, oh yeah, is that Mike Tyson? Oh, do you like Mike Tyson? Do you like sports? And that is like an instant icebreaker, right? So you have to have just something like that, right? Because it reflects personality. It reflects that you're not some robot, right? Even if you're like multiple countries apart from your client, you have a personality. You are a person, right? So yeah, that's that. And the last thing is basically just practicing a bit and also role playing sales calls before doing it. Once you've done a lot of sales calls, once you've done a couple, you'll get used to sales calls. But before that, just do role plays with anyone you could find basically. And yeah, just do that.
Another thing you can also do is listen to the recordings of your calls, even though you might not want to.
Okay.
And this is something you've done a good job at, because I didn't enjoy this. I would like delete I would like delete my sales call recordings before giving people a chance to review them because, like I said before, I was in that high ticket closer program, and part of it was to do role play and record your calls, and so I would delete my calls, and then they'd be like, "Oh, can we review your call?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know where it is. It's deleted or something." So I didn't have because I was like, it's embarrassing. I didn't want to watch somebody. I didn't want somebody to watch me fumble and mess up. I really, really hated sales. Like I hated sales. And I just eventually got past that and just started listening to my calls. And you've done a really good job at this. In fact, I'd say one of the number one things and why I wanted to interview you and I wanted people to see what you've been up to is because you're so good at taking feedback and you're willing to be vulnerable. And I think that that's hard for a lot of young people, a lot of young men especially. It's like difficult to be vulnerable. You've sent me sales calls. You've sent me some of your calls, and I listened to your calls. And then I'd give you feedback like, hey, I noticed that you're a little bit nervous or something, like, just slow down. Don't rush through that section, or you asked this in the question format, or just small stuff, and you did it. You fixed the little gaps, and you've improved. And I don't think many young people want to do that. I think that's actually one of the reasons why people don't invest in coaching, is not even because
Yeah.
they don't have the money. I think they don't want to be shown up. Because if you're coming from, again, like Andrew Tate's world, like, oh, you're this G, you're the killer, you're the best. You're about to, if you join anybody else's coaching program, you're about to be given so much feedback on so many gaps that you have, and so much that you have to work on. It can actually be really hard for the ego to take it, especially the young guys. It's like you're gonna
Yeah,
get
definitely.
roasted. So
I didn't get roasted though. That was a good thing. I didn't get
yeah,
roasted by you. But
yeah, it
yeah,
was good.
yeah, I do agree with that. And I think like it's just like any young person, like any teenager or like anyone in their 20s watching this, I think accepting feedback is a part of growing up. So if you cannot do that, like you're still a kid, so just grow up, and just accept feedback. I think that's one of the biggest advice like I had for myself when I was starting out as well, because like I would hate it when people were like, "You're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, do this, do that." I was like, man, I thought I was a G.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I think that's part of it. That's why I think that young people struggle, is they don't, and this is why business owners don't always want to hire young people. I don't think it's actually the lack of experience. I think sometimes it's just the willingness to take feedback and to show up like a professional, because
yeah,
young people
exactly.
have this like, I mean, I've got to this point now, right? Because I've hired a lot of people, and my team, I have a creative director, he hires people. And when we hire people, when they're younger, sometimes there is this challenge where they're like, they know everything, or they know what they need to do, and they don't really want to take feedback so much, and they kind of have their own processes, and they've got this whole idea of how it should be, whereas actually you don't know anything. You've never worked with any companies. You don't know what it's like to deliver these projects. Respectfully, shut up and like learn for a little bit, and then have an opinion. Like work for a year or something, right? And I don't know who needs to hear that, but I know that there are some people watching this, that young guys that need to hear this. Like, you don't know what you don't know, and if you just hold your mouth and hold your tongue for a little bit, and you just like actually integrate with somebody else's company, and you just learn from them, you're going to have a lot of opportunity. You're not going to have all these like, how many times I've worked with somebody and then they're like, it's a culture fit issue. Like, I coach young guys, right? In the dojo, we're coaching young people, a lot of young guys, like your age, 18, 19, 20, 21. And I mean, even older sometimes. Like you said, some of them don't grow up, right? Some of them don't ever change. And
Yeah,
I was coaching a guy that was like 25, 26. He just couldn't let it go. He couldn't let the ego go. Couldn't let that he needs to know the answer. He couldn't let it go. And he lost a client. He lost a $5,000 a month client because they just couldn't work with him. He wasn't receiving feedback. He'd like take the feedback and like constantly correct it and be like, yeah, I did it this way because of this, and I did that, and did this, and here's why I did that. It's like, bro, just listen to their feedback. Like, they don't care why you did it that way. They don't like it. You don't have to justify it. Just change. Just accept the feedback. So yeah, I'm glad we're talking about this.
yeah, 100%.
Oh, and one more thing, actually, let me add to this as well. Is that when you do take feedback and it's painful and you feel embarrassed, or you feel, I felt this. I remember I had one client give me some pretty harsh criticism on my work, and I felt pretty bad that day. And one of my friends told me this and was really useful. He said, right now it looks pretty bad. In your client's eyes, you look like you're stuffed up and it's not looking so good for you. But the nice thing is, like, if you do all the stuff that you need to do and you turn it around, there's such a nice contrast between what you were doing and where you are now. They're going to see that contrast. They're going to see the transformation, and they're only going to remember the positive side of it. They'll be like, wow, we gave this guy feedback and he completely took it and completely reversed it, and now he's doing this, and we really like that. And like, there's a contrast. You can actually see there's a difference, and business owners will remember that you used to be like doing this and now you're here. So I think that the harshest feedback, and sometimes when you feel like you're in such a negative situation, is actually the best opportunity to show people the change, the transformation. So it's actually good as well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Because I've also seen like other people that I've done test projects with and stuff, uh, they were just not able to take good feedback from the client, because the client will always have feedback. Like, one thing you also need to understand is, like, most times that the clients will have feedback and you just have to take it, like analyze it and take it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes clients just organize test projects and stuff, right? And they give feedback in the end. And if you can show that to them, that, you take their feedback seriously and you implement that, then also, like, the chances of you getting hired increase significantly.
Yeah.
And that's actually like a one way, like, I cracked a test project, right? Because, well, the client gave some feedback and I just, adapted to it very, very quickly than the other guy. And even though in the test project, I tied it with the other copywriter, I didn't win it. I tied it. The client chose me because they were like, I like the way you do things. And yeah, we'd like to go forward with you, right? So that also happens.
What are some what are some quick tips for people that are starting with a new client? Like, what are some things that they can do to lock that client in and leave a good impression?
Yeah. So the number one things is, like, first of all, you need to care for the business actually. So many copywriters just sign clients just to make an extra $4,000 or $5,000. That's cool. Once you're like an expert and you just know every, like every step of the game, I guess. But like, if you're just starting out, like, you need to actually care about the business and see where the bottlenecks are, at least the part that you're handling. And then second, you need to see, like, where are the lowest hanging fruits that you can take out, and use them to create quick wins for the clients essentially. And yeah, you just need to do an audit to find that out, using your existing skills. And third of all, is just delivering better, faster, delivering more than what you're asked for. And that's how I logged in a client. They asked me for like 4 emails a week. I did a bonus email every week. They're pretty happy with that. And yeah, that's something I got from you. So yeah, just do these things. I would say, yeah. So these three things are something that I would implement if I'm signing a new client, to lock them in. Yep.
And what about when you have the client locked in? What are some of the things that you do to keep clients happy and enjoying the experience of working with you?
Yeah. So that's when I like to have a quick conversation with clients. It's like, what is the definition of success for us to keep working long term? And they just, whatever they tell you, that's the main thing that we focus on. Of course,
Right.
like, the revenue is going to be always there. Results are going to be always there. Apart from that, what else? That's the question that we have to ask clients, right? And also, like, what they like, what are the parts of our workflow that they like, in our working essentially, like what they do not like, and just adapting to that, right? And just also building a good relationship with the client. I know these are like quite a few bullet points that could be like,
Mm.
very each section in themselves. But yeah, these 3, 4 bullet points you just have to keep in mind to build a good relationship with the client. And yeah, that's pretty good to go. Yeah.
What do you mean by their definition of success?
Uh, so their definition of success is like, I mean, as the name suggests, how do they define success as, you know, um, as with working with you essentially? Like, why would they say that you are a good choice as compared to anyone else that they have worked in the past with? And to actually just, explain this better, I would like to give an example of a client that I was working with. And of course, we were making money, we were hitting our targets, but even though I asked them, like, what is the definition of success here? And with them, it was like, well, most people that we worked in the past with, they started good for a few months, but they weren't able to give us the attention that we wanted in the next coming months, right? So that's something that I kept in mind for this client, that, well, they want attention, but like, what do they mean by attention? So just submitting like EOD reports with them, just showing the progress every single day to them. That's enough attention for them, right? Hopping on the calls that they have, not every call, of course, but the calls that I'm needed in. Uh, and yeah, just doing those things to communicate that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's what they have in mind when they hire somebody. They have a certain goal for that role as a
Yeah,
copywriter, and it's not always revenue. That's one of the things that they care about, but they care about something else too.
exactly.
One of my clients, one of my previous clients, 9-figure entrepreneur. He's blown up on social media. Everybody knows him now. It's pretty cool to see how far he's come. He didn't hire me to make him money. He had a marketing director making him money, helping him get more customers. He wanted two things from me. He wanted me to scale his voice. He said, my voice is very specific. There's a certain way I speak. I want you to preserve, maintain that voice across all my platforms, because the kind of people I work with are successful, sophisticated business owners. We cannot afford to lose their respect and trust if it doesn't sound like me. It has to sound just like me. So it wasn't so much about the money. He wanted everything to sound like him. That's the first thing. And the second thing is he wanted his time back. He wanted to buy back his time. He didn't want to review it as much anymore. And that's, by the way, one of his lines. If you kind of want to try to figure out who it is, he wanted me to buy his time. He wanted to buy his time back by hiring me. So, I spent a lot of time reviewing the voice, preserving the voice. When we had a couple of junior copywriters, I was the copy chief, making sure that the voice was always on check. We had voice processes in place. We created a voice guide, added to his current voice guide as well. We had a call every 2 weeks where he would just have 30 minutes with us, and he would review the copy and see like how close it is to his voice. And I would take notes. He likes this. He doesn't like this. This is how he would say that. And we built up this big document of what his voice should sound like and what it shouldn't sound like. And that was part of his definition of success. It's like, wow, he's maintaining and preserving my voice. I like this, And, they kept me. Let's put it that way. They really like working with me because I understood it was about getting the time back and it was about maintaining voice, which is two things that are not always what clients hire copywriters for, right? So like you said, you got to figure out what their definition of success is. And as long as you're hitting their definition, and it might change. Like I remember that client at one point, they wanted to start growing on social. So their definition of success was like, as much as it's voice and getting our time back, we want you to start like creating a lot of like content marketing that takes us to the next level. So it will change, but you got to keep checking with your client as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
I like it. So is there anything else that you'd say to copywriters before we wrap up here that you think that would be very important for them to hear? And yeah, I love your story. I think you've done such a great job for yourself. I think you've worked so hard, and it shows that it's possible if you just apply yourself, because you didn't have all the like the right cards. You're not like in Florida or in Texas, or like, you didn't come from a writing background. You didn't have a previous marketing experience. You hadn't even finished school yet. You're not native, you didn't have native accent. It's like you had a lot of things that were like not necessarily setting you up, but you did it anyway. So I always, actually, often, by the way, I tell people, I was like, bro, like Zeus did it. Come on, what's your excuse? I say that sometimes to people. So yeah, well, that was my question. Is like, what else would you say to copywriters?
Yeah, just mainly two things. Like, first of all, is just whatever disadvantage that you think you have that's stopping you from doing copy, making money. I mean, most of the times it's not really as big as you think it is. It could be fixed with enough time and work. And second of all, if you want to get where you want to be faster, you need to get a mentor, right? And I do not have a mentorship program to sell you, but like that's just the truth. Like I wasted 11 months before finding Matthew. And if I found Matthew before that, I would be where I am way faster, right? So yeah, those are mainly two things. You have to get under someone's wing who have done what you want to do. And that's a big thing.
I love it, man. Yeah, I'm with you. Where can people find you if they want to learn from you and learn your secrets and maybe convince you to start a coaching program?
They can find me on Facebook. My name is Zeus.sri. They can just find me. Yep. Okay,
cool. Well, Zeus, thanks so much for your time, bro. I really appreciate it. This has been really fun. And I hope you all watching this found value in this. And, maybe we'll have another call. Put in the comments if you have questions for Zeus. Maybe we'll do a second one. Okay, take care, bro. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye.